In today's video, we hit up the Tokyo Expressway in a viewer-submitted American muscle car build. Disclaimer: whilst your personal preference may be to use the exact same car over and over again for your grinding events, that is not the purpose of these videos. The purpose of these videos is to highlight how over 500 plus cars in game can be used to your advantage, as well as giving you some solid tunes across the way. And also, no, I cannot go ahead and just magic up brand new grinding events in GT7. However, just a quick message before we do get into this video. I'm trying to get this channel to 60,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So if you do like this kind of content or want to stay up to date with everything Gran Turismo related, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and of course turn your notifications on. Anyway, let's get to it. So for this build, we are featuring a user submitted Mustang Boss 429 build. A huge thank you to Kaiser King, who sent me this build over on PSN. If you do want to submit your own build, feel free to contact me at my business email, which is over on my channel, or of course on PSN itself. Anyway, a huge thank you for this build. Really enjoyed it, much more than I originally expected. So let's go ahead and get into the tuning. So as always, when it comes to the tuning portion of the video, I'm going to take you through the livery that I'm using first. This is by Thomas XSE, who has this faithful recreation of the Raven West livery from Race Driver Grid. In terms of the livery itself, this will feature every single aero part that I'm using for this build, apart from the wheels, which have changed. Another note is that it is not a wide-bodied vehicle. This is a completely standard bodied car, and in terms of the wheels, well, I'm running the Werkmeister CR01 wheels. In terms of diameter, it is 18 inches, the width is standard size, and the offset is wide. That is the only change I've made over the default livery. As for the front bumper, it's going to be a Type B aero. As for the rear, it is Type A, featuring that huge rear diffuser. Over on the rear wing, well, this is going to be a Type A, which is sort of the ducktail lip spoiler. So let's go ahead and get into the tuning sheet then. This is running on sports mediums. Don't worry about that too much, it does cover off the rain. Fully customizable suspension, body height is 85 across for both, anti-roll bar is 6 at the front and 7 at the rear, with compression at default for 25. Expansion is default at 45, natural frequency is 2.80 front and 2.95 at the rear. Negative camber angle at the front is 3 and 2.4 rear. Toe angle 0 at the front and 0.30 inwards at the rear, completely default. Fully customizable diff, initial torque default at 10, acceleration 30 and braking 20. Next up is over to the transmission, in which we have the fully customizable racing set to 320. No fine tuning of the gears needed for this one supposedly. We then have the fully customizable ECU, no ballast and no power restriction on the build. Downforce 150 at the front and 200 at the rear. As for intercooler, this is a racing intercooler. I don't know why it wasn't on the tuning sheet. We then have the supercharger high end torque, racing air cleaner, racing silencer, racing exhaust manifold, brake system is racing drill disc, brake pads are racing, and I have added a brake controller on this. Now for me personally, I like it towards the rear, typically about 2 or 3 will do. So for me personally, I'm going to run 2 on this build. You don't have to have this, but that is just my personal preference. Clutch and flywheel is racing, carbon propeller shaft, bore up on the engine tuning, polished ports, and racing crankshaft. As for the bodywork, it's going to be weight reduction stage 1, 2 and 3 and increased body rigidity, and that completes this 600 pp build. So next up, we need to move into the event itself as well as the difficulty. So first up, we'll begin with the difficulty of the event. Now a lot of grinding events I recommend running on easy, however at Tokyo it is opposite. I recommend hard to stay out the way of traffic. As for the event, head over to Asia, head to Japan and Tokyo Expressway, and then scroll over until you find this event right here, the World Touring Car 600, with a maximum reward of 550,000 credits without the clean race bonus, and then go ahead and enter it. So the next section is the car itself. Let's go ahead and actually talk about what works for the build and what doesn't. So of course we're using the Mustang Boss 429 here. This was a car that I originally built on the channel all the way back in 2022. However, we were on completely different physics then, and once those physics had changed multiple times, I just never went back to use it. So as soon as Kaiser went ahead and sent me this build over on PSN, I just knew I had to head over and finally get some use out of the American muscle cars in game and one of my my personal favourites. Now, a few things he did mention to me that really stood out about this build is the fact that it is incredibly good on its tyres, incredibly beginner friendly for an American muscle car, and very, very good on its fuel. And he really wasn't lying. This is something that really took me by surprise. When you typically think American muscle car, you think it's going to drink all of the fuel within a couple of laps, absolutely shred its tyres, and probably not handle that well. But he's put together a very solid cruiser type build here. Whilst it's certainly not the fastest car that we've ever seen at Tokyo, it is still very, very quick, whilst maintaining a nice balance between drivability and of course fuel and tyre usage. A great build by Kaiser here. Anyway, let's move in to the strategy itself then. And first of all, I'll take you through what will lose you that clean race bonus. As for the clean race bonus, the main thing you want to watch for is the AI themselves, and that's why I recommend running on hard difficulty so you don't run into them as much. As you can see, you just want to kind of stay out the way of them, not hit them on the start, and then try and stay out the way when it comes to lapping them. And of course, next up is the final hairpin. Try not to run over any of the white lines or into the cones on the far side, as this will lose you that clean race bonus. Anyway, let's go ahead and actually get into the run itself. Now, as for the beginning, you want to be running fuel mix 1. There is plenty of power in this car. All you need to do is let the long gear ratio kick in, use a slipstream, and get yourself right to the front to begin with. Now, although we're in single player here and all we're doing is grinding money, some people get incredibly sensitive about this, but honestly, when it comes to turn 1 at Tokyo, especially on the first lap, I fully recommend just launching yourself off the barrier. You won't lose the clean race bonus for wall riding. However, if you don't clear the AI and they do hit you, then you will lose it. So I fully recommend stay to the left, launch yourself, and then just clear that first place car to just ensure you've got enough breathing room to not waste that clean race bonus. From there, all you need to do is turn it to fuel mix 6 and then just cruise around for lap 1 to 4. This is what I like to count as the survival stage for Tokyo. This is because conditions are at their absolute worst at this point, and all you want to do is just keep it nice and clean and build up an easy, steady lead. And honestly, the Mustang Boss really surprised me in these tricky conditions. Yes, it tried to kick out at times, but it wasn't to the point that I couldn't control the vehicle, and overall, with its high top speed on the main straight, it really managed to pull out a gap very, very quickly. So from lap 4, conditions will improve, and this is where the lap times will begin to plummet. Now, you're looking with the Mustang Boss anywhere from a 1:56 to 1:57 on a wall ride lap, and around about a 2 minutes to 2 minutes 2 on a normal driving lap. Really, anytime from lap 7 to 8, you'll start seeing that there's AI on the line, and if you do spot them, I fully recommend just using the wall riding once again, just to ensure you're out of the way and you can clear them. Now, at the end of lap 8, this is when you want to take your one and only pit stop. Again, you're going to pit here for tyres as well as fuel. So stick on another set of these sports mediums and go ahead and fill the car up. Now, although there is a notch on the fuel bar, I recommend just going over that. The main reason is we're going to do a much quicker second stint here. I filled the car to around about 6 laps, but if you want to just blast around in fuel mix 1 constantly from pit exit to race finish, then put around about 7 in and you should be all good. So the main thing I'm going to do with my strategy is just keep the car in fuel mix 6 for 1 more single lap. This ensures that I have enough fuel till the end of the race and ensures that I'm not running into the AI on my out lap. That is the worst thing possible, as again, they'll just hinder you and just get in the way and ignore blue flags. However, they will be pitting once again during this event. So at that point, I want to be absolutely flat out, clear them while they're in the pit stop and not have to run into as many of them as I possibly can. So as you can see, we get to lap 10 on the big straight and we're just going to turn the engine up to full and go absolutely flat out to the end. Again, by the time I get onto the back of the AI, they should be pretty much out the way and it should give me a mainly clean track other than a couple of cars up ahead of me. After that, we're then going to go absolutely flat out to the end of the race and of course get ourselves up across the line for a relatively easy win and overall a really enjoyable build. As for the time on this one, definitely not the fastest, but an incredibly enjoyable drive at 25.8.040, a fastest lap of 1:57.874, which was set on lap 11. And of course, for those of you that might not know, this is the payout for the event, 825,000 credits in those 25 minutes, and well, also our daily driving marathon of a 5-star, so not too bad. Anyway, there we go for this build. A huge thank you to Kaiser once again for sending this one over on PSN, and of course, as I mentioned, if you do have your own builds that I haven't gone ahead and created just just yet and you want me to try them out, then feel free to send them over on my business email or of course on PSN itself. I always enjoy giving back to my community, so if I can go ahead and showcase a build that works for me and of course works for the grinding events and such, then I am more than happy to do it. So again, huge thank you to Kaiser, a huge thank you to all of my channel members on the screen now, and a huge thank you to all of you guys watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care guys, peace.